Good morning everyone, welcome to my video. I just wanted to take you through the Alfred range. I have shown you Alfred before. He appeared on a panel within my journal of stitchery. So that's the piece there. So you may have spotted him before, and he is from a pattern book that I purchased from Lisa Mattock. She's a designer in Sydney that has put together a quilt featuring Alfred, a little bird, and he's on all these different panels throughout her book, throughout her quilt that you can stitch to create the actual quilt. Fantastic pattern. If you were looking for that pattern, that's some details of Lisa's name and the name of the pattern, and that's her email address. She's on Instagram. She has a website as well, so you can purchase the PDF of it and download it, print it out, and then you've got your Alfred to make a quilt or do some stitchery with. So that's my second Alfred, which you've seen earlier on a video. This was my first one, and I did this when I went away for a couple nights to see my mum and dad, and just took a small little stitchery with me to do while we were sitting around having a chat after dinner. So I'll just take you through the piece. It's a little piece of calico that I've placed Alfred on, and I've used some lace down the side to create the frame. I like to have sort of like a border that sort of keeps my design within a certain space. Alfred was then put into position and he's a little bit off center. I sort of like to sort of create a focal point a little bit off center. It seems to be a little bit more pleasing to the eye than in the middle, and that's not a standard rule. That, you know, maybe the next piece I make it'll be in the center, but this seemed to be that thinking on this one. And then over behind Alfred, I've just created a cluster of embroidery stitches to build up like a little floral treatment, if I can get that up nice and close. So there's some little felt leaves with some stitches on top of them. There's some grub stitches, and then I had just received a order of satin ribbons. So I used the satin ribbon to create some random stitches, some additional little green leaves, and then using some daisy stitch created some little petals going up this stem, and then embellished it with some beads. I get that a little bit closer so you can see it. Those little stitches at the top, the little pink grub stitches, a little bit of purple, some purple beads, and then created a ground or a floor underneath Alfred, which allows you to think that he's actually standing and starts that 3D effect. This little cluster I put just a little bit below the floor so that it starts to look like that's in the foreground. This is a lovely little flower that's great to insert in your pictures, and once you sort of do the one, you can then do little versions of it behind your flowers. And it's just really simple daisy stitches, lazy daisy all the way up, then add some sprigs, and then I just stitched some little beads to each of the sprigs in the darker green. And as I got to the top, I changed the color to a paler green so that it looked like it was sort of new growth on the actual branch. But that in itself is a fantastic little stitch to add to a cluster of flowers. It sort of can be poked in anywhere, and there's like 3 there, 1, 2, 3, just to sort of break it up. And then even this little cluster here is along the same lines. It's using the ribbon, but little daisy stitches and then some little beads sitting in the center. Then I just stamped the word inspiration on the piece, and then when I got back from visiting mum and dad, I popped it in the frame. So the actual piece itself is not very big. Let me just measure that for you so you know. The calico that I took with me is 7.5 inches by 6. So not very big, perfect size for an Alfred. And just grab some cottons and some snippets of fabric and layer her out, stitch it all down, and then just embellish. Don't overthink it, just embellish. I will just show you the actual book that you get when you download the file from Lisa's website. This is the quilt, and each piece in here is an Alfred, a version of the Alfred. So inside you will find, I'll just bring this up to the camera. You can't see the whole quilt, but doesn't it look yummy? Look at that. Just, oh, beautiful. I love her style. It's nice and rustic. It's just perfect, like the slow stitch we're doing. There's another shot of it. Heaps of Alfreds. So I highly recommend this pattern because I think I will just use it all the time. Whether I ever make a quilt, who knows, but there's a stitch guide inside, and then you get into block 1, which is piecing together your Alfred and doing some embroidery to the side, and all of the panels just have a small little bit of embroidery, not as clustered and full on as what I did with my Alfred, but it's a really good way of getting to know stitches and putting together yeah, a little component. And Lisa gives you a little sketch, so once your Alfred's in there you can then stitch. So there's lots of panels, lots of suggestions that you can go through, and then at the back are all the components that you can cut out onto your fabrics to create your very own Alfred. And each one of her panels will be a different part of this bird. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 bodies of Alfred. 5, well, hang on, let me do this properly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bodies, and a couple tails, 4 tails and 3 wings. So fantastic, highly recommend it. It's a download PDF file, really easy, and then print it out, and I just took it to the Officeworks and had them bind it so that it was ready to go. Okay, so that is Alfred. What I'm thinking of doing is another Alfred, because I'm putting together a gift for a friend, and it's all going to go into just a calico bag. So what I thought I might do is stitch a Alfred and then pop that onto the calico bag just to decorate the front of it. So as you can see, this pattern has just so much scope. You know, I'm so in love with Alfred, and I'm sure one day I'll make the quilt, because it's lovely, simple, and it's slow stitch, and you can do as much embellishing as you want or as little as you want. So on a quilt you probably wouldn't add all of the beads because you'd be one day going through the wash, so it probably wouldn't be a good idea. But a wall hanging, definitely you could really go to town. So that's my Alfred story. I hope that inspires you to go and check it out. I've never met Lisa. I just stumbled across her on the internet and fell in love with her style and her Alfred. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and happy stitching. See you later. Bye-bye.